Hello there. This podcast is brought to you by FidiShow, a digital product design and development company. For today, we have Mr. Prashanth Gurunath, who is the founder of Tequip software solution and creator of City Square. He's a software engineer and has worked in a lot of startups until he decided to build his own. So let's get started.
Hello, Prashanth. We are very glad to have you on the show, and also a very warm congratulations on the launch of your app, the City Square. It's indeed a very great app, and it's indeed solving a very genuine problem. So my first question to you is, how did the idea to build something so different like City Square came into your mind?
Okay, so to begin with, uh, I think uh, I always like to start with the problem statement. So the idea came to me because I had a huge problem. I've been having this problem all my life. The problem of people traveling a lot to go to a meetup point. So what happens is that when you plan an outing with your friends, when you want to catch up with your friends at a particular place, what happens is that you tend to spend a lot of money. You tend to spend a lot of time as well. So because of all of these things, back when I was doing my engineering, when I was in my second year of engineering in 2017, there was this realization day when when I was able to understand that I had been spending a lot of money and time on this transportation and all of those. So I had to travel a lot to go to a particular meetup point to meet a group of my friends. So I was in a position where I could not say no. So I had to go for that meetup, but unfortunately, I had to spend a lot of money as well. So because of this, I was like, what if there is some solution? What if there is some tech solution which is going to help me to find a place which is equidistant to all people? So five of my friends had gone for that. We had gone for a movie. We went to a mall called Phoenix Mall in Chennai. It's in a place called Velachery. So I had to travel a lot. Like it took me some time to go to that place. Whereas few friends of mine were staying close by. They were staying like in a 3 or 4 kilometer radius to that mall. So that was the starting point. I started to think that I understood something which was right in front of me always. So this is a problem which all of us have been having all the time, all our lives. But that was my realization point. So that was when I started doing the market research to understand if other people are having this problem as well. Because when we have a particular problem statement, we have to check if there are many other people who have the same problem. Because what is my problem might not be a problem for one set of people. So I wanted to know if this particular problem if it's actually a problem for many other people as well. So I got to know that a lot of people have been having this particular problem, the problem of traveling a lot of distance and spending a lot of time and spending a lot of money on fuel, on all of these things, on Uber fare, for example, all of these things. So this is a huge problem which people have been having all their lives. So to my surprise, there was no existing solution to this. So I was initially, so usually what happens is that when there is a solution for a problem, people might not know that there is a solution. So usually it's going to be your lack of knowledge. Like we might not have enough knowledge to know and understand if there is one particular problem, there's a solution for it. But in this particular case, when I did my market research, I clearly understood that no one has ever done this before. So when I started to, and then what I started to do was that I started to write to people. I wrote Google Play reviews. So when you download an app, you can give a review for that app, right? So I have written so many reviews to Google Maps, to other travel and location related apps, but obviously I didn't get a response from them. So being an engineer, I was doing my second year back. So being an engineer and an app developer, I want to create a solution to this by myself using technology. So that's how all of this started. So this was a problem statement. The problem statement was right in front of me, but then it took me some time to realize it. And then this whole journey started. So yes, it started way back in 2017, probably the late 2017.
So it is great that you are trying to solve a very genuine and a real life problem, and that the problem you are facing. Very few of us, like when we face problems in our day to day life, we barely ignore them or we try to find alternatives for them. But only a few handful of people try to find the solution for that problem and help others also. So you are one of them, and that's really inspiring. So, my next question to you is, what were the obstacles that you faced while building this product?
Okay. So with respect to the first part which you said, it's you were talking about the fact that we did not copy another idea and we did it because of the necessity. So City Square is actually, it was born out of necessity. I think necessity is the mother of invention. So one more thing is that when you take City Square, it's an idea first, business next kind of a company. So what I mean by this is that, so I had a problem, I want to solve my problem. That a lot of people are having this particular problem. So because of this, what I did was that I did my market research. I was able to understand that many people are having it. So the solution which I'm having right now is something which more people should have as well. Like people should have access to it as well. So upon my realization on this, I was like, okay, let me make some tech product. So when I started to make this particular product, the first problem which I had was that lack of knowledge. So when it comes to developing a product or it comes to making any tech product like this, what happens is that you need a lot of technical knowledge, more than the market research and more than all of these things. When you have to implement something, you obviously need the corresponding technical knowledge. Unfortunately, in my case, I was 18 years at that time. So I had 18 to 19 years at that time. So I didn't have a lot of technical knowledge which was sufficient enough for me to build this particular product. So I believe that learning is always an iterative process. So what I basically did was I was working on this on one side. I was learning and I was trying to make an app by myself on another side. So in 2018 September, I made another app, not City Square, another app before this. That was just to boost up my confidence. That was just to tell myself that I can make an app, I can code and I can make an app. So that was an app called OCR, Optical Character Recognition. You can scan a piece of text and it will basically read it out in seven different languages. You can copy, you can share it on WhatsApp. So it was an app which had around, it's going to be like 2.5 years since I launched that app, and it has like 2,000 downloads. So that particular app, it was a confidence booster for me. So I started off like that. So with time, I was able to get that knowledge which I did not have back then. So I think time was the answer. With time, I was able to get the knowledge which I did not have back then. And then this, I would say, was the first issue. The second challenge for me was that when you're building an app, usually when a product is made like this, in a company, when they make a product, one set of people will actually make the UI, UX, the wireframe. Every app is going to have a UI, UX, the wireframe. So one set of people will actually sit and work on that. So there'll be a set of dedicated developers who are sitting and working on the development, the coding part. So that's how it usually works. So what happened in my case was that I had to do all of these things by myself because I didn't have a team. So I got this team of mine. So I'm currently having a team, but back when I launched the first version of City Square app, I did not have a team. So because of this, what happened was I had to develop, I had to make the wireframe, I had to make the UI, UX, I had to do everything by myself. So all of these things, it took a lot of time for me to launch the app because of this. So I started the development work of this app in 2018 beginning or something like that. But the app is done. Everything is finally now done. And the first version of City Square app was launched in the month of May 2020. So I took more than 2.5 years to launch the app, even though I launched one more app in between, even though I was doing a lot of other stuff in between. My point was that when I'm making it, I should do it properly. So with respect to City Square app, these two issues were like my main issues. After that, after launching the app, I had a lot of other issues. But initially, between 2017 and late 2017 and May 2020, these were my actual issues which I faced.
So it is very important to have a team when you are trying to build something, because a good team, it's like a backbone for the company or the product, and it makes the output so much more better when you have a good team. So what were the obstacles and the struggles you faced while building a team, and advice that you would like to give all those who are struggling to build a team and create something?
So firstly, when it comes to building a team, the first thing is that you need to build a team. You need to have a team who completely trust you, who completely trust the product as well. That's like extremely important. So I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about my team. So initially, like when you look at the development part, when you look at the coding part of this app, everything has been done by me till now. But when you look at the UI UX, the first version was done by me as well. But then that's why it was it was not up to the mark. Like obviously, be it development, be it UI UX, be it anything, you can always improve on something. So after a point when the response for City Square app was a bit great, I thought that it's high time I start getting like proper people into this. So I wanted to onboard proper designers to this app. So so it started off with my best friend, my friend from college. His name is Rohit Prakash. So he's the one who designed the logo. So he's a UI UX and a graphic designer. He's a very good designer. He's my best friend as well. So he started off with the design part. So he was helping me initially with a lot of stuff. So I like to thank him. And then I onboarded a person for content writing. So any app, more than creation of the app, what happens is that the way you project, the way you market it, the way. So like one more thing which I want to say here is that when a product is made and when you want a set of people to use our product, people do not like to use cool products. People like to use products which are making them look cool. So people like to use Instagram because people think we have this thing. If somebody's not on Instagram, we're like this. That's not so cool. Why aren't you on Instagram? Because that's the order of the day. So this is what we have this notion, right? So I was very particular about the fact that this should be a product which people like. They should spend some time on this app. For all of these things, the marketing has to be top notch. And when you look at this particular problem statement which I'm addressing, this is something which nobody has ever done before. Citiescar, we are actually the first ones in India to do this. So what happened because of this is that many people have been having this problem statement in their lives all the time, but they're not seeing it. So an extra level of marketing has to be done to tell people that there is this problem statement is there in your life. If you think about it, you will get to know about it. You're actually spending so much of money on traveling, but then you're probably not bothered about it. But in long term, if you see over a period of time, if you look at the number of times you travel, number of times you spend a lot of bucks on this, people are literally burning their pockets. So my point, the point which I'm trying to make here is that for an app like this, we had to do a lot of marketing for which content writing was extremely crucial. So for this, I onboarded another friend of mine from my college, SRM. I onboarded my friend called Yazir. So this friend of mine, he's into content writing. So he wrote the Google Play description. He wrote all of the description for us. The tagline, Citiescar has a tagline. Why travel an unfair distance when you can travel equidistant? Our aim here is to make sure that people say yes to equidistant locations. People say yes to central locations. Obviously, nobody wants to meet, like for example, the central location is in a particular place. People obviously don't want to meet like in the road. They want to go to some cafe. They want to catch up at some restaurant bar. They want to go to some place like that. So we went on to onboard a lot of restaurants after that. So the content writer role is like pretty crucial. So my friend Yazir helped me a lot with that. I like to thank him. So these friends of mine and few other people were helpful for me in the first version of the app. But then once we got a particular reach, so after the first version, after May 2020, a lot of people started using this app, even though it was launched during this COVID time, during this lockdown time. So ideally, this lockdown, it was not a perfect time to launch this app because this is a travel-related app which was launched during this COVID time. But we did get a very good response. COVID relief team people, they were using our app, and a lot of people are actually using it. So once we got a level of push from a lot of people, so I onboarded two friends of mine. So one person is called Shivani. So Shivani is basically a graphic designer and she's a UI UX designer. So she's been taking care of the entire design part right now. So the second version of the app, which is present right now, the second version of the app is already live on Google Play. So all the screens, all the mobile app screens, all of those things have been designed by my friend Shivani. So she's an amazing designer. So what she did for me is that, so she gives me a lot of iterations. Whenever she's creating a particular screen for me, she'll give me a lot of iterations. So in the process, what happens is that sometimes I'll be like super particular about a lot of stuff. I'll be telling my team, my friends that I want this particular screen to look this particular way. But they'll convince me and they'll make sure that it's not that way if they think that's the right thing. So our ultimate aim, the motive of the team is to always to make sure that the product is growing. So it doesn't matter if she's a designer, I'm a developer, or it doesn't really hierarchy or whatever. There's no hierarchy here. We have a flat hierarchy. So anybody can tell anything to anyone over here. So because our ultimate aim here is that the product should grow. So a lot of times they'll keep telling a million changes. Like I'll keep changing a lot of stuff, but everything has been for the betterment of the product. So the point I'm trying to make here is that my friend Shivani, the designer who's been working on this, she's been amazing, and she's amazing at what she does, and she helped me a lot with the design part of Citiescar app a lot. So I'd like to thank her as well. And then through Shivani, I got another designer called Maitreyi. So Maitreyi and Shivani So they're the kind of people who keep telling you the importance of the technical aspects of user interface and user design. So making an app, making a UI UX can be done by even by me if I'm looking at Google. But the technical aspects of it, the aesthetics of it, so that's something which people with actual knowledge should come and let you know. So my friend Maitreyi helped me a lot with that. So I'd like to thank my team. So I think having a team is super important because this is something which I kind of regretted a bit later because I didn't onboard these people, these amazing people, a bit earlier because like I was not able to do it back then. I can now understand the importance of this team because delegation of work is ultimately everything. Obviously, I can't keep doing everything all the time. So I've been developing, I've been making the UI UX by myself, the wireframes by myself. So once I got a team, the work was much more easier for me. So yeah.
So from this, at least one thing is clear, that the interface and the front end of a product is very, very important, and it helps us to retain the customers. So my next question to you is, suppose we have an idea and now before building it, how should we verify if it is feasible and it is as per the market fit, and how to do that?
Okay, so when it comes to, see, there are multiple ways of doing market research. So this is basically like asking, how did you do your market research? So when it comes to market research, the first thing which you can do is that only when you know that there is an existing only when you accept that this is a problem for a lot of people, you should start thinking about finding a solution. So my first aim was to verify and check if this particular problem statement is something which is only there for me or if it's there for other people as well. So I started off by doing my market research through social media. I used to post stuff on Instagram, for example, Instagram stories and polls. I used to connect all of these quizzes and stuff like that and all. So that way, what happened was that I was able to get access to information to the views and opinions of a lot of people. So, and I used to ask my college friends, my classmates about what they feel about this, whether this is a problem which all of them have. So most of them, more than 90% of them have only told me that this is a problem which they have. So it boiled down to, see, this is a problem which all of us have, but the question was whether people will actually use an app like this and if they will actually solve the problem by using this. So that was my question. So, and then I wanted to know if this app is existing or if a website, a web version of this, or if any other product is existing which is solving this particular problem. So when I went and checked, obviously you can Google it. Google tells you everything. So that's how I really started doing it. So so as I already told, I was really surprised to know that no big company, like when you look at what I mean by big companies is that, for example, Google is the parent. At least when it comes to this location related stuff, I wanted this, see, all of us are using Google Maps. Most of us here are using Google Maps. So as a user, I really wanted this feature to be a part of Google Maps. Because I think it completely makes sense if an app like Google Maps, considering their user base, if they have something like this. So this was the initial problem statement which we had. But then what happened was Google Maps did not have this feature and a lot of other location-related startups did not have this feature. So we then went on to check if this is present in abroad, in some other country. Because this problem statement is not only for Indians, this is a global problem statement. And the solution also is not only for us, it's for people all over the globe. So CitySquare app right now, you can find central locations. You can add locations in any part of the world. You can find the central location between the United States and India, or probably a town in India, anything like that. You can do any sort of combination. So that's the advantage of CitySquare app. So market research definitely helped. It was like a validation for me. So it was like a thumbs up for me to go ahead and actually start the development work.
So, Prashanth, you have quite an experience with being a software engineer, and you have worked as a software engineer in so many companies. So, why did you choose to quit your job and then go full time on CitySquare? What was the reason behind it?
Okay, so first and foremost, I don't have a lot of experience now. So if my story is basically that I finished my engineering back in May 2019, almost 2 years back. I finished my engineering from SRM University, Chennai in May 2019. And then I was working for a startup. I've always been fascinated by startups because I believe that's the place, it's my personal opinion. I believe that's the place where one can learn a lot of stuff. So during my engineering days, I had done 4 internships in 4 different startups. And I started my full-time job with the company first in the month of April 2019. I was working there for 8 months, 8 full months I was working there. And then I was working with another firm till October 2020. So if you look at my overall experience post my graduation, like after my engineering, I have an experience of 1.5 years as a full-time software developer. As a full-time software developer. Apart from this, I've done 4 internships during my engineering period. So, and I used to do mentoring as well, like more like I'm doing mentoring right now as well. I take Android workshops as well. So I do mentoring as well. So I was doing like all of these stuff and all during my engineering time, and I continue to do it back then. So so to answer this question of yours, during this lockdown period, so as you know, I've been working this app since 2018, but then during this lockdown period, I went ahead and I launched the second version of this app. I launched the first version of this app during May 2020. So those 6 months, it was like super hectic for me because my office work was a bit challenging as well because of this pandemic time. I like obviously you'll have to like if you look at the working hours, I had to work a lot because it's a startup. In any startup, you'll have to put in a lot of working hours. So that's how it is. That's how it was for me. So after my office working hours, I had to sit and I had to work on my personal project stuff. So overall, if you say I was working for like 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day, it was going on like this. So I was doing this for more like 6 months. So after a point, my health was deteriorating. So after a point, I was able to understand that this was affecting my health. This was taking a toll on my mental health as well. So after a point, I had to take a decision on whether I'm going to continue with my full-time software engineering or whether I'm going to pursue this entrepreneurship route. But then this is something which has been very close to my heart because this is a problem. One main reason why I waited and went ahead and did this was that even after 2 full years, nobody created a solution for this. Even though I had this problem state, even though I did my market research in 2017-18, and during the month of 2020, like after I launched the first version of the app, I was contemplating whether I should quit my job now and take this full time. During that time, I went ahead and did that. I quit my job and I did this. I'm doing this full time right now because, as I told you, we are actually the first ones in India to actually implement this concept of central locations. So I think that was a huge thumbs up and a morale booster for me. So after a point, I had to take a decision, and then I just wanted to follow my heart. I just wanted to make sure that I pursue something which I do something which I like. So I just went ahead and I just chose this route. It was a very simple thing for me. It was either I should drop whatever I've done till now after the first version was launched, but obviously I was not able to do that because a product, when you're building a startup, you have to sacrifice a lot of other things. I'd say the first thing which I did was that I quit my job. So that was the first thing which I actually did. So yeah.
That's great. So, how are you embracing your entrepreneurship journey?
Okay, so see, firstly, this journey has been, I'm still new and young to this. It's been like, although I've been working in the development part for quite a long time now, I've been doing this full time for a little more than a couple of months. So I was doing a full-time job, and I used to cut down on my sleeping hours. I used to change my sleep schedule so that I can work on this. I was doing all of that. As I was telling you, I had to work for like 12 plus hours every day in order to make sure that I complete this. So in the last 6 to 7 months, if you see, I can share my experience based on what's been happening in the last 6 to 7 months. So during this particular period, I have learned a lot. I have learned about the art of delegating work. So as I told you, like now that I have a team, my work here is to make sure that the product goes to a certain level. The product has to be used by a lot of people. The tech has to be top notch. The app has to be really nice. And as what you clearly told, the UI, UX, the presentability, everything has to be perfect. Because we're running a company here and the product has a good reach right now. But my aim here is to maximize it. We're having a vision and we're trying to match that vision over here. So in the process of this, the learning experience has been amazing. So as I already told you, like in the beginning, we onboarded 5 restaurants from Chennai, 5 different restaurants from Chennai on the app. Like just like how you can onboard a restaurant on the app, we are having a collaboration or more like a partnership with 5 different restaurants from Chennai alone right now, because we want to expand to other cities and other states in our country, and we'll be doing that soon. So currently we're working on onboarding more restaurants. So when you look at all of these things, I was initially a software developer. All my life, I've been more like I've been into software development for the last 3.5 years. I was thinking that this is what I always want. But now that I've been working in entrepreneurship, now that I've been doing all of these things, now that I'm running a startup here, I had to take, just like what Ritesh Agarwal, Mr. Ritesh Agarwal famously said, if you're running a company, you have to have a microscope on one hand and a telescope on another hand. You got to do everything by yourself. That absolutely makes sense for me now, because what happens is that I'm taking care of the business side of things as well right now. So when you take care of the business side of things, you'll have to do a lot of business pitching. You'll have to meet people. You'll have to meet a lot of other entrepreneurs, because I strongly believe that entrepreneurs will have to coexist. Be it any field, I strongly believe that entrepreneurs will have companies and entrepreneurs will have to coexist. I think that's how it works. So a lot of business meetings have been there. So when I look at it now, I've learned a lot about products, product development, product design and product development. I've learned a lot about UI UX. So there's always a lot to learn from a team as well. So my teammates, my friends, they keep inspiring me all the time. They keep teaching me a lot of stuff all the time. So the overall experience has been amazing. So the more you interact with people, the more you learn from them. So that's what I strongly believe in. And the experience has been amazing. Learning experience is amazing.
So there is a huge difference between having an idea and actually launching it in the market. So what are your strategies to go into the market and make a place for City Square in the market?
Okay, so see, to answer this question, see, I believe that if people know something already, if there is something which people already know, and if you want their attention, you have to tell it to them in an interesting way. If you want someone's attention, and if you're going to tell them something which they already know, the stuff the way in which you're telling them has to be interesting. In my case, what the problem statement which I'm addressing here, or more like the problem statement which I'm trying to address here, is something which people do not know. So in a sense, this is new to the market, this concept of equidistant location, the concept of people catching up at the central location. So this concept has not been done and it has not been implemented by anyone else before. So we're the first ones to do it. So we had to tell it to a lot of people a lot of times. So we are a young startup. We are a very young startup. We are still growing. So if you look at the measures which we have taken, we had this Instagram campaign. So we had this we made this Instagram template where this bingo template was kind of famous during this lockdown period. Like all of us were doing this bingo. Have you been to this place bingo? The Instagram bingo template, I'm talking about that. So we made one for people planning the routing. So we just jotted down, we had a discussion, we were brainstorming, we were having a conversation about the different issues which people have when they actually plan an outing. Like few common ones are, for example, when my friend is calling me when I'm going outside, just when I'm waking up, I tell him that I'll reach the place in 5 minutes. So we keep doing stuff like this all the time. So people do this all the time. Like people like you and me, we keep doing this all the time, especially in a place like India, we do this all the time. The reason is that we're having this particular problem of people traveling a long distance. People have to travel a lot of distance to go to a certain place. So what we did was that we did this Instagram bingo campaign that got an amazing response. So the definition of amazing response is that there was a point when a lot of my friends started posting these stories. So basically we posted the Instagram bingo. We said tag your friends as well, tag 2 of your friends. So I did it. I tagged a couple of my friends. They did it. They tagged a couple of their friends. Yeah. So it doesn't matter to whom I'm sending it to, whom they are sending it to. That only matters. So that's how we started. But then what happened was that after some point it came back to me so basically I was tagged in that post again. So a few friends of mine were sharing this particular bingo on their stories without knowing that it was me who did it, without knowing that it was me who actually made the Instagram bingo with my team. So we were like pretty happy about that particular campaign. So that was just a small Instagram campaign which we did. So because when it comes to products or product development, it's not only about ultimately it's about the number of downloads. Yes, that's that. But the bigger picture here is that we should build a brand. So the branding aspect is super important. Like to give you an example, when I'm mentioning the name Zomato, people associate with the red color. Likewise, when we're talking about Swiggy, people associate Swiggy with orange color, because this is because of the kind of branding which these huge companies have done. And I think that's amazing. So this is something which we have to learn from them. So so we started giving a lot of importance to the branding aspect of this. So we have an Instagram page called citysquare.tech. So people can go on and follow our page. So we are pretty active in that page. We keep posting a lot of Instagram stories. We keep posting bingos. So marketing is nothing but talking about the absence of a product. So in the absence of City Square, what have you guys been doing till now? In the absence of City Square, I've been trying to convince my friends to meet up at a central location. We'll have a huge debate about it. We'll end on arguing. We'll have like a lot of issues, fights. So one set of people will end up traveling a lot. They'll end up paying a lot of money. They'll end up spending a lot of time. So these are the things which happen in the absence of City Square app, in the absence of this product which we have. So I think this is what marketing is all about. So we did this a lot. So we did a lot of word of mouth marketing as well. And then at one point in time, we went ahead and we did this paid Instagram marketing. So we took quite a few we took quite a few marketing techniques and we just went ahead with that. So marketing again is like an ocean. So you have to invent new marketing strategies and new ways to tell users about this problem. And people should have that emotional brand connect with you. They should spend a lot of time on your app. People spend, if you take social media apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook and all, they have a separate place called activity time, the total time you spend on this particular app. That's because people are spending so much of time that at some point they have to restrict themselves from using an app. That's simply because of the fact that people just love these social media apps or any other app for that matter which they're using. So we want to create a brand in such a way that people start spending a lot of time in City Square app because they're actually solving a problem here. It's not only about people spending some time on the app. It's about creating the branding, creating the brand value for people and giving something for people. Ultimately, any company is ultimately trying to solve a particular problem. They're addressing one set of problems. So we're just trying to do that as well.
Great.
Are you planning to raise funds for your startup? And if yes, how are you planning and preparing to raise funds, and what are the few things that one should keep in mind while they are building their pitch deck?
So right now, this is a bootstrap startup. So I've been putting in my money. I've been putting in my savings and my personal money into this. But keeping long term in mind, we do need funding. So we were initially working on it, but my focus right now is to onboard more restaurants. So this is a SaaS application. This is a software as a service application. So we are currently the team is working on onboarding more restaurants in Chennai and in different parts of India. So once we go ahead with that, we'll probably actively start looking out for funding. But right now, this is a bootstrap startup.
So, one advice that you as an entrepreneur would like to give all the budding entrepreneurs who are trying to make a place in the market and trying to build something very interesting and cool.
Okay. My opinion is that just go for it. Just if you think there is a problem which is not solved yet, just go for it. There are so many problems out there for which there are solutions, but people don't know the solution. People are not aware of those solutions. It's simply because a lot of these solutions, a lot of these startups who are actually providing these solutions, so they haven't created that brand which is big enough for all people to know about the problem which they're addressing. So sometimes I might be having a problem in my life. When I'm looking out for solutions, when I'm searching in Google, there will be a solution. Take Uber, for example. If I want to book a cab ride, I know for a fact that there is an Uber and there is an Ola. Whereas if there is one particular problem statement for which I think that there is no solution, what is the first thing which I'm doing? I'm simply checking it on the internet. I'm checking it on Google. I'm seeing if there is any existing solution for it. The point which I'm trying to make here is that a lot of companies out there are not able to market what they've done. They have amazing products. So people in our country have amazing products. They're building some great stuff, but the reach is not there yet. So I think if you have a solid problem statement, or if you think every problem statement is a business opportunity, more like because if there is a problem statement and if there is no solution for it, you can actually solve the problem. You can actually try and create a solution for it. You can check if someone has done something. So I'm not sure if like you'll succeed or if you'll meet with like you'll have failures in the process, but I can definitely tell you that the journey, the overall experience is going to be amazing. So that's a given. So irrespective of the fact that you're going to succeed or irrespective of the fact that they're going to go ahead and make the product or not, the overall experience of working or even talking about startups and talking about product development and talking about solving a problem for a set of people is super exciting. I think that's amazing. So my opinion about this is that if you really think you have a problem statement which hasn't been solved by anyone, I think you should go ahead and try and see if you can create a product and solve it. So creating a product is one thing, making it as a company is another thing. So people should start off by addressing the problem first. So this would be my opinion on this.